We're back. So let's chat. Did you know that that same baby whose diaper you change has the ability to teach you what it means to have a pure heart? And did you know that that same child whose knee you have to bandage, he has the ability to show you what it means to have real healing? And did you know that that same baby that you rock to sleep at night has the ability to teach you what it means to have real peace? Marriage is one of those things that is full of impossibles. Impossibles like forgiveness. Impossibles like being vulnerable with someone after they've hurt you. Impossibles like being willing to see the best in someone, even or especially when they're showing you their worst. Well, these things are not just in marriage, but they're the fuel behind marriage. I found that if you are not able to operate in these three principles, then your marriage is probably crashing and burning. And so Cornelius and I have been able to unlock the keys to operating in forgiveness with one another, to operating in a place of vulnerability and being able to see the best in one another. And guess what? We learned most of that. We got most of those keys from our children. You see, Jesus said something very profound. He said, if any man wants to enter the kingdom of God, he must enter as a child. And if he doesn't enter as a child, he will in no wise enter in. Wow. That's amazing, because in the world that we live in, there's this belief that when you have children, your life becomes harder, that your marriage is more challenging when you have children, that having a successful life is more difficult when you have children, that balancing life and being an individual it becomes harder because you have children. But what Jesus tells us is that when you have children, there's an access that you get just because you have children. And so there's an easier that happens, not a harder. There's an access that comes to you because you have children. And so when you're married, because you have children around, you have an ability to study someone who forgives effortlessly. When you're married, because you have children around, you have someone that can show you what it's really like to be vulnerable and to let your guards down so that the other person can rescue you with their love, so that you can give the other person an opportunity to rescue you with their love. When you have children around, you can study what it's like to look at someone and believe the best in them, even when they're showing you their worst. I can remember times as a mom when I would yell and scream and be angry and be ticked off with my kids, but they would look at me like, who are you? You are so much better than that. You're such a good mommy. Why are you hurting my feelings? And so being able to study them, learn their ways, learn the way they see God, learn the way they look at these kingdom principles has dramatically changed the success or created the success in our marriage. Everything that we are and everything that we have has been built on the word, has been built on diligence, has been built on the access that we have to children who look at the kingdom of God in a unique way that most adults can't. So I encourage you, if you have children in your home, study them. Study the way they love. That's a kingdom principle. Study the way they forgive. That's a kingdom principle. Study their willingness to be vulnerable to others. That's a kingdom principle. Study the way they prefer others above themselves. That's a kingdom principle. Study the way they're willing to see the best in others. That is a kingdom principle. If you can study their ways, ask them questions, get into their head. Ask them, what made you see it that way? Or what do you think about this? Or what would you do if you were in that situation? What would you do if God told you this? If you can get in their heads, you can get their vision. If you can get their vision, you can get their approach. And if you can get their approach, you can get their access. If you can get a childlike access to these kingdom principles, you will watch your marriage flourish in a way that it has never flourished before. We love you. I hope that something has been said that's helpful. As always, if you have any questions, you can private message us or you can comment right below. My bangles. You can comment right below, and we'll answer any questions that you have that we can answer, that we know a little something about. Until next time, see you soon.